Hello, my friends. It's time for Thought Shifting Thursdays. Thursdays at noon Pacific time. And so I'm kind of excited to talk about the subject today, which is all about shifting negative beliefs to positive ones. And it's using a system from Academy for Coaching Excellence called Basic Assumptions. So we'll get into that. And what really inspired me to be focusing on this today is I did this process or shared this practice with a couple of clients, one yesterday and once today. And what inspired it, because I don't focus on this a lot in my coaching practice, but yesterday my client was saying how hard her life is. And a lot of people are feeling like life is hard right now with COVID, with just a lot of things going on. So we've talked about this in previous Thought Shifting Thursdays. And so basic assumptions, it comes from, as I said, Academy for Coaching Excellence, of which Maria Nemeth is the founder and director. And I did some training with her years and years ago. And so it's a really powerful and simple process. And I love simplicity. I find that the best and most effective methods for transformation or for anything in life, almost anything in life, are always the simplest. Spirit is simple, right? I mean, love is always the answer. That's how simple it can get. So, basic assumptions. The theory is that when we adopt a basic assumption, when we are somewhere between the ages of 1 and 4, and then because human beings just seem to love being right, want to be right, what we do is that when we have an assumption of any kind, whether it's a lifelong one or I just have a new assumption that came up yesterday, we instantly begin looking for evidence to prove our assumption. And the more evidence we collect, the more certain we become, the more right we feel we are, and then the more we look for more and more evidence. So it is this cycle, repeating cycle. And so Maria Nemeth came up with these, let's see, how many is it? It's 11 basic assumptions. I'm just going to use 10 actually, because 2 of them are, well, I'll tell you what they are even though, but I just think they're too similar to even consider them different. So there's 3 categories. There's flight basic assumptions, there's fight basic assumptions, and there's freeze basic assumptions. So as I read these off, and usually, everyone has more than one basic assumption, but there's a primary one, and there's a secondary, and there can be 3 or 4. And so notes, just as I'm reading them off, see which one resonates most to you, which one you feel tends to be guiding your life, or that is your, primary belief. So the flight basic assumptions are, I'm dumb, I'm stupid. Those are the 2 that I think are, so synonymous you don't really need 2 categories. I can't, there's something wrong with me. And by the way, I'm going to paraphrase some of these because Maria Nemeth, by the way, says that I'm not one who likes to use foul language or colorful language, but for a basic assumption, it's good to have something that you can really, sink your teeth into it, that has some oomph to it, because that's how it feels emotionally within us. So let me start again. I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I can't. There's something wrong with me, and life is effing hard. Again, I'm paraphrasing that just a bit. Fight basic assumptions are, people are idiots. I'm changing that word. F you can't make me. F you, I'll do it my way. Notice which of these categories you're in. The final category is the freeze basic assumptions. I don't know. I'm not sure. This isn't it. I want to say something about the this isn't it, because that is, as I have shared these basic assumptions with people, this isn't it is the most difficult one to have people shift from, because number one, if it seems that we get to a place where there's clarity that for a particular client or individual that this isn't it, is they'll often say, no, that's not it. So it can't be it, right? Because this isn't it. But for people that this isn't it, this relationship isn't it. There's got to be something better. This job isn't it. There's got to be something better. This life, this can't be all there is to this life. It's got to be something more. And so the truth is that wherever I am in life, this relationship, this job, this level of health, this is it for now, because this is where I am. So the point I want to make with basic assumptions is the antidote to this basic assumption that I've held most of my life is to simply play with the opposite, to simply assume that the truth is the opposite, and to then begin collecting evidence for this new assumption. And once we've collected enough evidence, then the antithesis assumption becomes our new basic assumption. And then everything changes. So I'll give you an example of this. So I had a client years and years ago who I don't remember for sure, but I think her basic assumption was, I'm stupid. And so when people would give her compliments, she would just, naturally just, diss them. And not integrate, not receive the compliment. So what she did, and she made this a very visceral experience for her, is when someone would start practicing this new way of being with basic assumptions, is when people would give her a compliment, she would simply reach out and grab it and put it in her imaginary handbag. And so she was collecting evidence and getting more and more of it, and gradually this basic assumption shifted for her. And of course the opposite of I am stupid is I am brilliant. The opposite of I can't is I can, or I will. The opposite of there's something wrong with me is there's something right about me, or everything is right about me. The opposite of life is effing hard is life is a breeze. Life is easy. For the fight assumptions, the opposite of people are idiots is people are who they are. People are good inside. People are loving. The opposite of F you can't make me is I'm open. I'm open to possibilities. The opposite to F you, I'll do it my way, is I'm open to trying new things or trying new ways. The opposite of I don't know is I know. The opposite of I'm not sure is I'm sure, obviously. The opposite of this isn't it is perhaps this is it. I'm open to the possibility that this is it. I'm willing to be with this experience in this moment because it is what is here for me right now. So whatever you're resonating with as your basic assumption, I'll just ask you to reflect for a moment. How can I implement this in my life? I'll tell you another story. The person who introduced me to metaphysics, that would have been right around 40 years ago, would catch herself all the time, and she didn't know about basic assumptions, but I would suggest thinking about it right now in this way in the first time, is her basic assumption probably was I don't know. And so she would catch herself anytime she said the phrase I don't know, instantly correcting herself and saying, I know that I know. So whatever your basic assumption that you're resonating with, and if you haven't, maybe I'll read them off one more time for you, see what you resonate with. And if you've already discovered it, just take a moment now to really come up with, and if you're watching right now, let's see, we've got Karina's online, or later on, you can put it in the chat what you think your basic assumption is and what your solution is for it. How you're going to collect evidence, whether it's coming up with an affirmation, whether it's just reminding yourself in the moment when you notice yourself acting from or from this basic your basic assumption, or just hearing those words in your head, whatever it might be. So come up with a strategy for collecting evidence for the opposite. So again, I'm dumb or I am stupid. I'm brilliant. I can't. I can. There's something wrong with me. Something right with me. Everything is right with me. I'm perfect just the way I am. Life is effing hard. Life is easy. Life is a breeze. People are idiots. People are who they are. People are good inside. People are learning. People are evolving. Everyone's evolving. Another way of framing this one is a friend of mine years ago said, whenever I judge something I see in somebody else that I don't like, I ask, how am I like that? People are like me. We're all learning. F you can't make me. I'm open to possibilities. I'm open to new ways. Or that might even be more appropriate for, F you, I'll do it my way. I'm open to trying things in different ways. I'm opening to new possibilities, new solutions. The freeze basic assumptions. I don't know. I know that I know. I'm not sure. I know that I am sure. I am sure. Did this with a client recently that was hers. And it was so interesting, just in our conversation, how often she used the phrase, either I'm not sure, I don't know. And she was able to instantly correct herself. So we were able to play with it in real time. This isn't it. Maybe this is it. Or this is it for now. I'm open to exploring the experience that I'm having in this relationship, or in this health situation, or in my finances right now. That this is it for now. What is the greater freedom or joy or love that wants to emerge from this situation? So, and the cool thing about this, and the simplicity of this, is once we begin collecting new evidence, everything changes. It's a gradual process, right? But when you get to the point where you are affirming the opposite of that basic assumption more consistently than you are defaulting into it, as we have done for most of our lives, then our reality begins to change. So what else do I want to say about this? The client yesterday that was feeling that life was hard, we actually did the Byron Katie process, which I hadn't realized until both of these came to mind, how similar these processes are. In Byron Katie process, the work, and if you want to learn more about this, just go to thework.com, is all about just questioning our beliefs, questioning our basic assumptions. And so, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but basically, life is hard. We came up with, I'll run through the Byron Katie process with you. So basically, if you want to think about a belief that you have that's difficult, it can be your basic assumption, or whatever's up for you right now, like, especially if there's someone in your life that is challenging you. Let's see. So someone came up, is sharing a basic assumption that I can't remember. So the antidote to that is I do remember. And so you can come up with evidence for that. What is it, Karina, that you do remember? Think of all the things that you remember, all the pleasant experiences in life that you remember. If you want to post them right now in this live, feel free. And I guarantee you, by focusing on those things that you do remember, that's going to bring joy, and that is, you are collecting evidence for the truth that you do remember. right? I mean, it's simply a reframe. And so you might think that, you might be thinking most of the time that I can't remember, but the more that this shifts for you, and you're thinking about things that you do remember, the more you are going to be planting into your subconscious mind that I do remember. And we know, I mean, this is not a new idea. This just is another way of playing with the same truth. It's out there in New Thought and self-help in a myriad of different forms. Is that the more we tell ourselves something, the more it becomes part of our subconscious, and then creates the reality that we're experiencing in life. So back to Byron Katie, is if there's something challenging in your life, then we look at that belief and we say, how do I feel when I believe, or the first question is it true? And most people will say, yes, it's true, because if it's challenging us, I think it's true in the moment. And then the next question is, can I absolutely know it's true? And for most people, I don't know, it might be 50-50 of people I've done this work with, is some people will say, yes, it's absolutely true. And there's no wrong answer here. But at least 50% of the people will say, no, I can't absolutely know it's true. For me, I can't absolutely know any belief is true, especially a challenging or a belief that brings discomfort, because I can't know. And so Karina's sharing now, I remember my journey from Guatemala to USA, the birth of my kids. I remember some birthdays from my family. I remember trips. I guess I can remember. Shifted right there and then. And so the next thing in the Byron Katie process is, how do you feel when you believe this thought? Whatever the limiting thought is, whatever the uncomfortable thought is. And the answers come up with your own. But the answers that are frequent are, I feel oppressed, I feel sad, I feel uncomfortable, I feel distressed. There are many, many other questions asked around when you believe this thought. The ones that I like to ask are, how do you treat yourself when you believe this thought? Usually, I treat myself badly, or I judge myself when I believe this limiting belief, or this limiting thought. How do you treat others when you believe this thought? And usually it's, I don't treat, my client yesterday said, I judge people, right? I'm less compassionate with people when I believe this thought. And so the next question, I invite people to close their eyes on this next question. Who would you be without this thought? And the answer almost always is, I would be free. I would live a freer life. I would be more empowered. I would be able to accomplish things I want to accomplish. So then we come up in very much like the antidote for the basic assumption. Then we simply come up with what's called the turnaround in the Byron Katie work, right? And so the turnaround is, we'll just go with the opposite for now. So the opposite is the antidote to the basic assumption. And so if it's my belief is I can't remember, then the turnaround becomes, I can remember. I do remember. I just did remember, right? And so now we come up for evidence of it in the same way that Karina just did this in this short exercise. And coming up for evidence is what she just did. And so now we get to look at that original belief from a new perspective. And that's what the Byron Katie work is about. Again, very similar to this basic assumption work. So now by coming up with these evidences for the opposite, I can recognize that, oh, well, I was seeing it from only one way. And now I'm seeing it from another perspective and recognizing that, oh, maybe sometimes I don't remember, maybe sometimes I do remember. So now it comes down to, for me, what do I want to choose to believe? Because through the questions in the Byron Katie work, I've realized now that it doesn't feel good to believe the thoughts that I've been believing. And since I can recognize now by proving to myself that I have evidence for that I can believe the opposite, so now I can choose to believe something more freeing, something more empowering. And I guarantee, once again, life gets better when we believe the more empowering belief. Because if it's a belief that doesn't feel good, it's not true. It may be a relative truth, but it's not an essential truth. It's not a lasting truth. It's not a soul truth. The truths that feel good, like I do remember, I can remember, I am brilliant, going over some of these basic assumptions again. There's something right with me. Life is easy. People are basically good inside. I'm open to new ways of being and new possibilities. I know, I'm sure, I know that I know. This is it for right now. All of these antidotes to basic assumptions are the essential truths about us, are lasting truths. And the more we embrace our soul truth, the more we empower ourselves to live loving, powerful, successful, abundant lives. I guarantee it. So listen, my friends, it's always great spending 15 to 30 minutes with you on Thought Shifting Thursdays. I get so much out of this, and I hope you do too. I'm getting lots of positive feedback from sharing this time with you. So I'll look forward to talking to you next week. In the meantime, have a fantastic rest of your week and weekend and beyond. All right, take care, my friends. Signing out for now. Love you.